What's up, Katie?
What's up, Heather?
I'm so excited.
And can we just say, Feliz Cinco de Mayo, y'all.
So, as you can see, we're shaking things up this week. And not just in our cocktails. B is actually behind the camera and the microphone. You know it's about to get wild.
Because we are diving into one of my favorite spirits, the magical world of tequila.
Is that like the magical world of Disney?
Yes, very magical.
But adult, but 21 plus.
Reposado Tequila Aged in Bourbon Barrels. You thought this was Tortured Bourbon? Today is Tortured Tequila with a bourbon twist.
We're still going to suffer a little bit, but it's more in a celebratory, I just hung out with a mariachi band kind of way.
And if this is your first time with us in Casa de Rooster, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. Hang on, is this how B does it?
It's pretty solid.
All right. We drop 3 of these a week, mostly to keep B editing and out of Heather's, and let's face it, my hair.
Ain't that the truth? So don't forget to hit those socials. It only takes a second. Normally, this is where B makes fun of me for being a millennial and all up into the socials, but since he's off camera, I'm safe today, so go follow us.
I am too nice.
I know you are. I know you are.
Besides, the less I talk, the faster we get to tequila.
You're not wrong, friend. You're not wrong, and there's something in that. So let's do that.
Absolutely.
Let's talk tequila. So tequila is actually made from 100% blue Weber agave, which has to be grown for 7 to 10 years before harvest. So this is where tequila and bourbon differ a little bit. So the aging for tequila happens with the agave plant. It doesn't actually stay in the barrels very long. Whereas, as y'all know, with the bourbon, it chills in the barrels. So the core of the agave plant, or the piña, is roasted, fermented, and double distilled. The category of what we're doing today, reposado, means rested. So it is then aged in oak for at least 2 months and up to a year, which again, for tequila, is a little bit of a long time. Mm-hmm. But for bourbon, that wouldn't suffice. So it's same but different. In our case today, they're gonna actually, all of these have aged in oak barrels, so they happen to have a little bit of bourbon in their DNA.
So yes, it's still tortured bourbon, just with an agave twist.
That's right, Katie. Why are we doing this today?
Well, contrary to every fraternity party ever, or so my husband has shared, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. It actually celebrates Mexico's victory over the French at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862.
So it was a total underdog story. Mexico pulled a total upset. They were basically Rocky Balboa.
And here in the U.S., it's become a day to celebrate Mexican culture, heritage, and let's be honest, tacos and tequila. So today we're doing it right.
That's right. We're going to raise a glass to Puebla, to underdogs everywhere, and to blending cultures, which again, we don't always get it right here in America. Sometimes we do a little bit of cultural appropriation, but yes, we appreciate everything that Mexican culture has introduced into American culture. And this reposado happened to soak up some good old American bourbon, which makes it perfect for our show. So what do we have up first, Katie?
So first up, we have the Corazon Reposado.
And I'm so excited. Tell everyone what this is aged in.
This is aged in E.H. Taylor barrels.
One of our fave here on Tortured Bourbon.
That's right, that E.H. Taylor. Sazerac owns the brand, and this one comes from the legendary Casa San Matias.
So this tequila is basically like sipping history. So it's agave that's been roasted, and then it's been mellowed in kernel bourbon barrels. So it's basically the equivalent of wearing a 3-piece suit to a food truck. So, Katie, let's grab it, let's smell it, and then let's talk about the details. So, obviously the mash bill is 100% Blue Weber agave. Now, the process the agave goes through is it's brick oven cooked, then it's roller milled, fermented with proprietary yeast, which all of you know will often get the mash bills for bourbons. Everybody's yeast is proprietary. They keep that very close to the vest. It's then copper pot distilled. So tell us about the aging.
So it's aged for around 6 to 8 months, and we should taste vanilla, toffee, light spice, roasted agave, and soft oak.
So it really is combining tequila and bourbon.
Absolutely.
And just so all of you know, the Expresiones line, which is what this is a part of, are all aged in Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels. This one just happens to be Colonel Taylor. And this will set you back about $40. All right, let's give it a taste, Katie. So it's so interesting to me because the tasting notes here list a lot of the same things that we're supposed to get from bourbon. Mm-hmm. But it's in a totally different way for me. I do get the hint of vanilla, but it's a lot milder than I typically get in bourbon. Mm-hmm. I don't get the oak as much, but B is always better at pulling that out than me. I absolutely get the agave. What are you getting?
I definitely get the agave. And the light spice. Not being a bourbon drinker. And a lot of the reason I don't like the bourbon is because usually it's very heavily spiced. Mm-hmm. I can get the light spice. There's enough of a hit there that you can taste it, but not enough that it overwhelms.
Okay. So you like the fact that it has some essence of what we're supposed to get in bourbons, but it's a much lighter take on all of it.
Absolutely.
This is very pleasant to sip.
It definitely is. I enjoyed that. On second tasting, I get the hints of vanilla.
Like I said, it's very subtle.
Yeah.
But it's definitely there.
It's there.
It's definitely there. If E.H. Taylor and agave had a baby, I think it would taste like this.
It's good.
But next up, we're going to the next player in our game today, which is Tequila Ocho. This is like in Dodgeball. ESPN the Ocho. That's where we're at. So for the record, this tequila is basically a farming nerd's tequila.
It's made at the La Atena by Carlos Camarena.
Perfect.
He is a tequila rock star. The distillery is now owned by Heaven Hill. Each batch comes from a single field. So basically farm to glass.
Yeah.
But with more agave and less kale.
And we love a good farm to glass product here. So I'm excited to try this one. So this was actually acquired by Heaven Hill in 2022. It's aged and used American whiskey barrels just like the previous one, but we actually don't know which ones. So, hey, maybe it's your favorite. Who knows? Again, it's made from 100% blue agave, and it's from a single estate. It's slow cooked in brick ovens, then it's open air fermented, and then it's double distilled.
So, Ocho actually has significant meaning for this tequila. Mm-hmm. They really lean into the 8. Mm-hmm. So, the agave is aged for 8 years or grown and matured over 8 years. They take 8 days to harvest and distill the tequila, which gives them their Blanco version. Then it is aged in the oak barrels for 8 weeks and 8 days. Mm-hmm. So really leaning into that eight all around.
Eight's all around. So we're supposed to get on the tasting notes, and like Katie said, it's a Blanco, so it's very clear.
It's not Blanco, it's a Reposado.
Just kidding. It's a Reposado.
Of the 4 you're drinking,
it is the lightest.
It is the lightest, but it is still not.
To be fair,
it is not a full Blanco.
It's not a Blanco, but it's awful clear.
Which makes sense because everything else we're drinking is aged 6 to 9 to 12 months or up to a year.
Yeah.
And this is only aged for 8 weeks, so it's very little time in the barrel.
So and it smells that way. Mm-hmm. It
smells like
smoothed
real
out a little bit. So this has peppery agave, which I absolutely buy. So this smells a lot more like when you smell tequila in college. It's like, okay, that's tequila.
Absolutely.
The first one was a lot more subtle. But we're still supposed to get a little bit of vanilla, some dried fruit, and some baking spice. That's tequila. Mm-hmm. So that tastes like more classic tequila than the first one, in my opinion.
It definitely does not have the essence of aging.
The first one was so smooth and subtle. This one takes away a little bit of that subtlety, but it's still not harsh.
Can definitely taste the agave.
But it's not harsh.
No, not at all.
But peppery agave, it does have more of a peppery spice to it.
Yeah. The first time I tried this, I kind of had to stop and
give it a minute.
Yeah, because it was a little.
I really like the finish on this one. It's got a really interesting finish. I'm trying to pinpoint what flavor that is. By the way, this one's going to set you back about $60, so it's a little bit more than the first one. Maybe it's the dried fruit.
It's the dried fruit.
It's the dried fruit.
It's definitely the dried fruit.
So I actually, if I have to pick between the two, the first one is such an easy sipper. But out of the two, I would pick the second one because of the complexity. It's got a fun array of flavors to it. We'll see what B
I would take the first one over the second one.
Now, when you say that when you smelled it in college, I would argue that what you were smelling in college was a lot like what I was smelling in college.
Jose
We were
Cuervo?
not
It was
smelling.
not this.
No.
We were not smelling a certified organic
No.
brand.
So let me back up. What I meant by that was it has more of that classic tequila smell.
Right, it absolutely does.
Compared to this one. This one has more of a complexity of flavor than the first one.
Now, the Ocho to me is creamy.
Yeah, but do you get that
The
dried
Ocho's
fruit at the
creamy.
end?
You get dried fruit. The pepper is a little more pronounced,
Yep.
which is the agave up front.
But
Yep.
I get the pepper a lot at the end.
I like the complexity of this one, which shows Katie and I's personal taste because she likes the first one better because it has that subtlety and it's an easy sipper. I like the second one because it has a little bit bolder flavors.
No, the dried fruit at the end is kind of citrusy to me.
To me, obviously we've got, not spoiler alert, we've got two more to go.
We do.
What they both give you is two very unique profiles.
Exactly.
And-
And I think they were two great ones to start with because they kind of
So
emphasize our
different.
different.
And I think one of the challenges people have with tequila is that most people start with tequila in a mixed drink.
Absolutely.
And that's fair. But tequila, good tequila, most of the tequila you're drinking out of a well is, quite frankly, it's not good tequila. It needs to be
It's
in
not
it.
this.
No.
These brands are very unique. And we won't get into it, but tequila has a very interesting history in Mexico with its regulatory body and how that body has been at times engaged in activities where they've been bribed, where they've been misheld. So there is a huge push within the tequila industry. What is 100% agave? Because you actually can label your agave 100% agave, but still have 1% additives. So we're not getting into the details. There's lots of good channels. There's lots of good information out there about it. What we've tried to pick are 4 of the cleaner tequilas that are aged in some type of whiskey or bourbon barrel
Right.
that carry a certain reputation. You should try them on their own.
Right. And so this one is actually a fun fact. Each bottle has its harvest year and the exact field that the agave came from. So like B was saying, Katie curated a great selection here because she picked 4 really solid choices. But like B said, what I was kind of emphasizing here is these are great ones for different taste profiles.
Absolutely.
So
They're all very different.
Even just with the first 2, Katie really loves the first one. Which
I like the second one.
completely tracks with her tasting profile.
I like
really
the
love
second
the
one.
second one, which tracked with my tasting profile. And so it's so interesting that it's not just bourbon or whiskey where you can get into this.
Oh, absolutely
But
not.
I think it's, it's earthy, it's fun, but it's elegant and sophisticated. Which, honestly, what else could you ask for in life?
It's tequila.
And the Ocho is leaning a little into what you expect when you taste a mezcal.
Yes.
I think that's why I like it so much, and that's why I was saying it has that more classic smell and flavor. It's got a little oomph to it. It's got a little smokiness to it. And I love a little smokiness.
Next up, we have Trace Agaves, and this is our organic option. It is also our one and only tequila that we are drinking that is not Reposado. It is actually an Añejo. That's one up.
So this was acquired by the Trinchero family estates. They also happen to own the world's second largest family-owned winery. Y'all know I'm all about the red wine. So I'm pretty happy with this combination.
Right there with her.
It's like if your wine aunt converted to drinking tequila, she's into this. So again, Trinchero Family Estates acquired it in 2020. It is aged for 18 months, approximately, in used American bourbon barrels. What's our mash bill, Katie?
Our mash bill is the
Like
same as
all.
it always
Yep.
is. 100% organic blue Weber agave from Tequila Valley. But again, it is organic. It's certified organic, which sets it apart a little bit from the
little
others.
bit. So it's autoclave cooked, roller milled, stainless steel fermented. And again, it's aged for 18 months, which is kind of lengthy in tequila standards. So what are we supposed to get on the tasting notes, Katie?
Might be lengthy for Reposado, but not for Añejo.
Hey, still lengthy for us today.
And it's still shorter than
Bourbon.
than a straight bourbon at 2
Which
years.
is, yeah, absolutely. So we should be getting kind of a smoky smell.
So this is the first one that has had a bit of a bourbon smell to me.
So should be a little smoky, sweet agave, caramel, cinnamon, which could be why you're getting that bourbon smell. Oak, citrus, and a little butterscotch.
It's a little butterscotch. So
Now,
I'm getting some. Again, it's not the same. I'm not trying to say it's the same, but it's got some hints there.
it does. Now, anyone who knows anything about me, Heather and B, I do not like cinnamon. I'm not a cinnamon person.
No, she's not.
We have overnight oats.
I would eat it every day.
We have overnight oats, and I put a heaped tablespoon in B's breakfast every day, and I don't touch the stuff. I can't stand it.
B and I are cinnamon the heck out of stuff. Katie says no go.
So, thankfully, I don't actually taste the cinnamon.
So I do taste a little bit, but it's more. So the others have
smell
said
it.
they had an allspice or a baking spice. Normally, that's very pronounced in bourbons and whiskeys. For tequilas that say they have that, it's so much subtler than bourbons and tequilas. So for me, I taste it, but it's very, very light and subtle.
And I think it's probably, this is the sweetest of the three.
For
that
me
we've
so
had.
far, this is the one that if you had given me a blind of these three, I would have said, ooh, this aged in bourbon barrels for a minute.
So Trace Agaves has been a hidden gem in the tequila world. At the ABC store, anywhere you can find it, it is. They've recently changed their label. Their label now has that darker print, but it is absolutely a steal. Whether it's their Blanco, their Reposado, or their Añejo.
So this is what I drank coming over to y'all's house 5 years ago.
But
right?
we had the white label. This is hush your mouth for me.
I would go with that.
And going back, our first one, which was the E.H. Taylor Corazon, is
that dog will hunt.
yes, the middle one.
Yep.
And the Ocho is a low that dog will hunt.
Okay.
Of the three of them, that is my least favorite, and I think it's just because the pepper is so strong for me.
I liked that one a lot. So I'm gonna
But
wait.
that makes sense.
I'm gonna wait to rank until I taste the last one.
So the last is actually my favorite.
You think you might have changed your mind?
I think if they look at the bottle,
That looks like the Tory Burch symbol.
I think if our viewers look at the bottle, they can see that I have tried.
So she's trying
Previously.
to,
It's not her first bottle of that either, by the way.
it's also not Tory Burch. So well. So we're actually, this is a beautiful bottle. It looks like it has like stars in it or something. I love the bottle. We're closing basically with the prom queen.
Absolutely.
Of all the options here. B is still disappointed. He didn't win prom king when he was in high school. He's dealing with it over here. He's having a moment. We're going to give him some tequila. It's going to be fine. So this is Código 1530 Reposado. It's aged in Napa Valley Cabernet and Bourbon Barrels. My favorite combo. It's like the two sides of my heart. You get a little wine, a little whiskey, and actually, guys, you're going to get a whole lot of George Strait, which is also one of my loves.
That George
Old Blue
Strait.
Eyes.
As an Australian, I have to admit, I don't know.
Amarillo by morning.
I don't
He's
know.
great.
I'm sorry, y'all.
He's great.
I don't know who it is. I didn't grow up here. I know who Keith Urban is because he married Nicole Kidman.
Oh, God. George Strait and Keith Urban are not in the same playing field. So this is one point where I'm going to have the musical upper hand.
I also know who Willie Nelson is because B took me to see him like 3 times
know.
and he's awesomely incredible.
So B, would you not say George Strait is, he's a little younger than Willie.
He's a lot younger than Willie.
I wouldn't say a lot. George is in his 70s now.
That's
like 20 years.
That's almost 30 years younger.
It's 20 years younger, okay? It's 20, okay.
Willie's got
George is between Willie
Willie
and Tim
Nelson could still be George Strait's dad.
Well, Willie could be all of our
might be
dads.
George Strait's
Willie
dad.
could be all of our
Willie
dads.
could be a
okay?
lot of people's
No,
dad.
he could be our grandfather.
He could be be our great grandfather. He could be my great grandfather. So
We're all related to Willie Nelson. I don't know if anyone's seen how many children that man has had.
So anyway, long story short, he's kind of before country went pop. Would you agree with that, B?
George Strait has always
Would you
been
agree
closer.
with that?
Yeah, he has. In fact, his big movie, Pure Country, the whole purpose of it was to try to talk about the removing of pop from country. I mean, it's not that deep of a movie. I mean, whatever, but yeah.
He apparently helped Cadigo because it started as a private family recipe but went public with the help of him. Like, he helped get it out there. So thank you, George Strait.
So it was acquired by Pernod Ricard in 2022. It's aged for 6 months in Napa Valley Cab and Bourbon Barrels, which again, two sides of my heart. And again, mash bill, same as it has been. 100% blue agave, fully mature. This one has no additives. So we're going to stone oven cook this, and then brings in that proprietary yeast.
New t-shirt idea.
What, proprietary yeast?
Absolutely.
Ew. Slow fermentation, and then it's double distilled.
On the tasting, we should get butterscotch, vanilla bean, toasted oak, warm agave with a red wine twist.
Right up my alley. So fun fact, y'all. You know we love Bardstown here on this show. So this actually was aged in the same French oak barrels that the Bardstown Cathedral series was aged in, which we've had a lot of Bardstown on the show. But we have not tried the Cathedral series yet. You want to send us a bottle? We're happy to profile it. All right, Katie, let's see what we get here. That is very pleasant.
It's so good. It's so good. I get the vanilla. I definitely get the agave. And I
warm
can
agave.
It is. I can
There's a red wine.
I can get
There's
the
a
red wine. And as a also red
It's
wine
a vanilla red
enthusiast,
wine. Yeah. Oh, no, Katie's not turning down. We're both red. We bonded over red wine, in fact.
Special shout out to the bartender at Wakefield Tavern for suggesting this, because I'd never heard of it until she pointed it out. And I was like,
now,
this is phenomenal.
So, oh man, this is hard. Okay.
I'm going to have to go with really high hush your mouth. That's the second to top one, right? Okay.
Number 3 is my favorite. The Tres Agaves. And that's probably because it has the most bourbon influence in it. But this one is, so mine probably goes 3, 4, 2, 1.
So mine, and it depends on the day.
Of course.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
most days this is smooth and has very little burn.
I would agree with that.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Okay, when you number that, could you tell us what that is?
Cadigo 1, Tres Agaves 2, Corazon 3, Ocho 4.
Okay.
From best to least.
Which makes total sense if you think about our preferred flavor profiles.
Absolutely.
Which is why this is so fun.
I know.
I loved learning more about tequila, and this was such a cool crossover because, again, these were all aged in some form of wine bourbon barrels.
Yeah. And for a non-bourbon drinker,
I would say the Tres Agaves and the make sure I say it right, the Cadigo are the two that I tasted that the most, for sure. I tasted that aging more.
Absolutely.
All of them were delicious. I would not turn a single one down. This is 10 steps above any tequila I drank before, my 30s. My 30s.
There is an art to them, and when you go and you learn about, if you can find a good tequila bar, a good mascarero, if you can find someone who can really teach you the art of making tequila is in mezcal, it's really a labor intensive, generally a family tradition.
Yes, it is.
And even though all of these are owned or parent companied by major corporations and names that we all know,
it still comes back to a family operation.
It's still run by the families. Yeah. And it's still family run because they have all the skills. It's kind of like Jimmy Russell at Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
It's like the Jimmy Russell of tequila.
And on that note, I've loved learning more about tequila, and I have loved doing an episode with Katie.
It was fun.
And happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. And this is not the last time Katie will be in front of the camera.
No, they've got other plans for me, but
but until then,
cheers, y'all.